Next week, the promise of forever becomes reality, and I can't wait to call you mine. The ring is just the beginning. Next week, we write the rest of our story together. Next week, I'll make you mine forever. No more waiting or wondering, just love. The countdown is almost over, and next week, everything changes for us, forever. In just a few days, my heart will be yours in the most beautiful way possible. Next week, the promise in my eyes becomes real, and I'll put a ring on your finger to show it. Our journey together begins next week, and I can't wait to step into forever with you. 1 week from today, we'll be closer than ever before, and I'll make that official with a ring. Next week, we'll take the leap together, and this time, there's no turning back. In 1 week, I'll slip this ring on your finger, and our love will be unbreakable. Next week, the love we've shared becomes official, and I'll be proud to call you my forever. I've never been more certain. Next week, you'll be wearing my love for life. Next week, we step into a new chapter of forever, and I'm ready for every second of it. I can't wait for next week, when I finally give you everything I am with this ring. The wait is almost over. Next week, the future we've always dreamed of begins. Next week, I'll place a ring on your finger, and my heart will forever be yours. In just a few days, I'll make sure you know how deeply I love you. No excuses. Next week, I'll make the promise of forever, and it will be yours for life. 1 more week, and the love we share becomes eternal, sealed with a ring. Next week, we step forward into a lifetime of love, commitment, and joy. Next week is more than a date. It's the start of forever with you by my side. I've spent my whole life waiting for this moment. Next week, we begin forever together. The time has come. Next week, I'll put a ring on your finger and we'll start our forever. Next week, no more waiting. Our commitment will be unbreakable, and our love will last forever. In just 1 week, we'll say forever, and we'll mean it with everything we are. Next week, the promise we've shared will be sealed, and our future will be unstoppable. I've dreamed of this moment, and next week, it will finally come true. Next week, we'll be bound together for life. No excuses, just pure love. 1 week from now, we'll step into the most beautiful chapter of our lives, hand in hand. Next week, I'll put the ring on your finger, and my heart will belong to you, now and forever. Our love is already eternal, but next week, I'll make it official with this ring. In just a few days, we'll say, I do, and our forever will begin with no turning back. Next week, you'll wear my love on your finger, and we'll be one for life. Next week, the world will see what I've known all along, that you're the one I'm meant to be with. We've waited so long for this moment, and next week, I'll show you just how much you mean to me. Next week, we'll make forever official, and I'll be proud to spend every moment with you. The time to make this promise is almost here. Next week, we'll seal our love with a ring. Next week, I'll place a ring on your finger, and my heart will be yours forevermore. In 1 week, we'll take the next step, and our love will know no bounds. Next week, our future begins, and there's no more waiting, no more excuses, just love. The ring I give you next week will be a reminder of our never-ending love. Next week, my commitment to you becomes undeniable, and my heart belongs to you alone. In just a few days, we'll make the most important promise of our lives, and I'll be yours forever. 1 more week, and I'll give you everything I have. No excuses, just love. Next week, we'll finally take our relationship to the next level, and forever will begin. In 1 week, the promise I've made will be sealed with a ring and a lifetime of love. Next week, our forever starts with a simple ring and a lifelong commitment. I can't wait for next week when I'll make sure you know you're my one and only. 1 more week, and I'll give you everything you've always dreamed of, forever. Next week, we'll begin the rest of our lives together, and I'll wear my heart on my sleeve. In 1 week, the love we've shared will be made eternal with a symbol of our commitment. Next week, I'll give you my heart and soul, wrapped in a promise of forever. Next week, my love for you will be sealed with a ring, and I'll never let go. In just a few days, I'll make you my forever, and no one else will ever come between us. Next week, everything changes. No more doubts, no more pairs, just love. Next week, I'll place the ring on your finger, and together we'll begin forever. I've waited for this moment my entire life, and next week, it becomes our reality. 1 week from now, we'll make our forever official, and it will be just the beginning. Next week, everything changes, and my heart will finally belong to you forever. No more waiting, no more doubts. The moment is near. No excuses, just the promise of forever with you. In just a few days, I'll be yours for eternity, and this time, nothing will stand in our way. The ring symbolizes everything we've built and everything we're about to become. Next week, a new chapter begins. A lifetime together with no excuses, just endless love. I can feel the anticipation in the air. No more hesitations. Next week, it's us forever. I'm ready for next week when I get to put a ring on your finger, sealing the promise we've always had. Next week isn't just a date, it's the beginning of the rest of our lives, with no more excuses. The journey to forever starts next week, and I'm not looking back. Next week, I'll say I do, and I'll mean it with everything I've got. We've spent so much time waiting, but now the moment is almost here. No excuses, just us. Next week, the ring is a symbol of my eternal commitment to you. In just a few days, I'll slip this ring on your finger and I'll never look back. The countdown is on. Next week, our forever begins and there's no turning back. In this moment, I'm ready to give you all that I am. No excuses, just love. Next week, we'll say goodbye to doubts and hello to a lifetime of love and togetherness. No more waiting, no more wondering. Next week, we step into forever. The future is clear, and the ring on your finger will prove it. We're ready. I've dreamed of this moment, and next week, it will finally come true. There's no more delay, no more hesitation. Next week, I'm yours forever. The ring is a promise of forever. Next week, that promise becomes reality. Next week, I'll place this ring on your finger and feel the weight of forever. In 1 week, my love for you will be sealed in a way that words can't explain. No excuses left. Next week, you'll be my forever, and I'll be yours. We've come so far, and next week, our bond will be stronger than ever. The path is set, and next week, it leads to forever with you. I'm ready for the commitment, for the love, for next week. No turning back. This week, I'm filled with anticipation. Next week, I'll be filled with joy as I place this ring on your finger. Our love is a journey, and next week, I'll take that first step with you for life. Next week, our commitment becomes unbreakable, sealed with love and a promise. The wait is almost over. Next week, I'll be your forever and you'll be mine. In 1 week, we begin forever together. No excuses, just us. The ring isn't just a piece of jewelry. It's a symbol of everything we've been and everything we're about to be. I can't wait to say yes to forever. No more hesitation. Next week is our time. Next week, my heart will be yours completely. No excuses left. 1 week from today, we make this official. I promise you, forever starts then. You're my everything, and next week, I'll make sure you know it for the rest of our lives. I can already feel the love we've shared becoming eternal. Next week, it's official. The countdown to forever is almost over. Next week, we make it real. Next week, we become one. Our future begins, and I wouldn't want to take it on with anyone else. With each passing day, I'm more certain. Next week, you'll be mine forever. The ring is only a symbol. What it represents, the love, the promise, is everything. Next week, we step into a world of love and commitment, without fear, without hesitation. It's been a long road, but next week, we'll make it official. No excuses, just love. 1 week, one ring, one lifetime of love. That's our reality now. Our love is unstoppable, and next week, it's sealed with a ring. The future is bright. Next week, I'll show you just how much you mean to me. In just a few days, you'll wear my love on your finger forever. It's a promise I'm keeping. Next week, I'll slip this ring on your finger and feel the weight of the love we've built. We've waited long enough. Next week, it's our turn to make forever happen. Next week, we'll show the world that love has no excuses, only eternal commitment. 1 more week, and everything changes. You'll be my forever, and I'll be yours. The ring I give you will be a promise of a lifetime of love, and next week, it's yours. I know we're ready. Next week, I'll give you everything I am, with no regrets. Next week is more than just a date. It's the beginning of forever, with no excuses. The love we have will never fade, and next week, it becomes official with this ring. I'm counting the days until I get to call you mine forever. Next week, that's exactly what happens. Next week, everything we've dreamed of becomes real. I'll give you my forever, and I'll never look back. The time is almost here. Next week, no more waiting. It's time for the rest of our lives